Well, good morning again, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there as we make our way through all these challenges with technologies these days. Again, welcome to Lynn on the Line. And this is a place for straight talk about life, faith, business, and it might be about technology today. You know, it's cloudy and cold this morning in Virginia. One of those days where it would be a delight just to kind of curl up with a good book instead of being boots on the ground. But the show goes on, life goes on, and each day is what we make of it, right? You know, we've all been on lockdown for weeks and weeks now. In Virginia, we're still being told that we'll remain this way until June 10th, which feels like a lifetime away if I pause just to think about it. The world is buzzing about the hows and the whys, and there's never been so much of a political turmoil as this battle goes on about who did what and when and all that stuff, all the conspiracy stuff. It's enough to even make the strongest of the strong fold if we let it. And as I continue to work pretty much the way I normally do, you know, I'm usually working from home, that sort of thing. That's usually it for me. I've noticed a couple of things out there. You know, I've noticed that despite having all the time in the world, many people don't have time. I mean, it's the craziest thing, right? I'm sure I'm not their best friend when I say, what do you mean you don't have time to do this or that, right? How's that even possible? Some people think that the COVID-19 is the enemy. Some people think that the government is the enemy. And there's a list of people to blame for where we are that's a mile long at least. But the biggest enemy isn't the COVID-19. It isn't China. It isn't the lockdown. It isn't the World Health Organization. It isn't the president. The biggest enemy is you and your mind. So the message today is entitled, All Dressed Up, No Place to Go. Listen, I'm amazed to see how so many people, entrepreneurs, are spending their time these days. You know, they're living as if they're on a mandated home vacation. You know, men haven't shaved in weeks. Women are stressed about not seeing their hairdresser for a while. Some of them have taken to hats and scarves to cover that head up. Most of them are slumming in sweats or other comfy clothes. The home and garden centers are swamped with people buying plants, and they're out there doing their gardens. The Home Depot's flocked with people buying paint and lumber and things to do home projects that they, you know, hadn't had time to do until now. I'm reading entrepreneur post about people decluttering their homes and spring cleaning to make good use of this time. But when is an entrepreneur really off duty? I don't get it, right? We don't punch a clock. I mean, we still working if we want to work. We don't work for somebody else. We don't rely on a paycheck. We won't be relying on a stimulus check. We at least the strong-minded entrepreneurs keep moving no matter what. And there's so much that we could be doing right now to build a business if we have the right mindset and not a muddled mess. So I'm going to share with you just a short list of what the strong-minded entrepreneur looks like, and I hope you'll find yourself within this list. If not, we need to get to work on that. Number one is we don't waste time feeling sorry for ourselves. You see, mentally strong people, you know, don't stress on circumstances. They don't dwell on how they might have been mistreated or how unfair the world is. You know, we've learned to take responsibility for our own actions and outcomes, and we have an inherent understanding of the fact that so often life ain't fair. You know, we're able to emerge and try new things, right? It was self-awareness and gratitude for the lessons that we learned in the storm. And when a situation turns out badly, you know, we respond with phrases like, oh, well, maybe next time or just next, right? And we sure don't use something as lame as a virus and a lockdown to lock us down. Number two, we don't give away our power. You know, mentally strong people avoid giving other people the power to make them feel inferior or defeated, for instance, and they certainly aren't giving the power away to a COVID virus or a lockdown. You know, we understand that we're in control of our own actions, our own emotions, and that success can be ours no matter what the outward circumstances. We know our strength is in the ability to manage, you know, the way we respond to things, the way we think about things. People, circumstances cannot make you feel one way or the other. You allow that to happen. You give it permission to happen. So don't give away your power. Number three, we don't shy away from change. You know, we're seeing a lot of change going on in our world right now, things that we can be doing. We don't shy away from that. I'm not the mentally strong entrepreneur. We embrace change and we welcome change. And our biggest fear, if we have one is not of the unknown. It's not of the COVID virus. It's not about the economy. It's really about becoming complacent and stagnant, which is where failure is found. Environment of change and even uncertainty can energize a mentally strong person and bring out the best in them. There are so many things that we can be doing right now if you're just willing to change, if you're willing to take on some new things. We have duplicatable systems and all kinds of stuff that we can change and add out there to our world. But the question is, are you doing it, or are you on a mandated vacation? Mentally strong entrepreneurs are excited to figure out a way to keep going when the going gets tough, even through this lockdown. And we don't use a lockdown as an excuse not to work, not to get dressed, and not to keep moving. Number 4, we don't waste energy on things we can't control. As Christians, we know that. We know we can't control the circumstances, right? We accept where we are. We make the best of where we are, and we keep leaning on our Creator, right? But mentally strong people, they don't complain much about things like the COVID-19, about bad traffic or lost luggage, and they especially don't complain about other people, as they recognize that all those things are generally beyond their control. In a bad situation, we recognize that the one thing we can always control, again, is our response and our attitude, and we use our attributes well. How many times have we found ourselves in the presence of someone else that can turn an issue into a dialogue that could go on for hours? Mentally strong entrepreneurs don't waste energy on such things, and you know what? You're getting little tiny doses of that on the Internet all day long if you want to embrace it. Number 5, we don't worry too much about pleasing other people. Of course, as Christians, we always want to be a nice light, a compassionate light, and be a good example for the world. But how many people pleasers do you know? Conversely, how many people do you know who go out of their way to displease others as is a way of reinforcing an image or their strength? Neither position is a good one. A mentally strong person strives to be kind and fair and to please others when it's appropriate. But they're not afraid to speak up. They're able to withstand the possibility that somebody just might get upset, and the mentally strong entrepreneur is ready to navigate that situation too, whenever possible, and always with grace. We're not afraid to take risks. A mentally strong person is willing to take those calculated risks. It's a different thing entirely than jumping headlong into something foolish, but with mental strength, an individual can kind of weigh out those risks and benefits thoroughly and fully assess the potential downsides. Even in the worst of scenarios, they take action. Listen, we got a lot of that needs to be happening right now. Take some risk, get out there. Who cares if you've never done an online call? Who cares if you're afraid to pick up the phone? We got to keep moving. You got all kinds of things you could be doing right now. Anybody who knows me well knows that no matter what it is in my life, if it's got any significance to it at all, I'm always saying, what's the worst case scenario? I'm always looking out there. What's the worst thing that can happen if I do this or I do that? When it comes to business, there's not much I wouldn't do, because the worst case scenario is it didn't work and I can try again. Number 7 is we don't dwell on the past. Come on, guys, be talking about your past and digging up garbage. There is strength in acknowledging the past, and especially in acknowledging the things that we learned from the past, right? But a mentally strong person is able to avoid, just focusing on past disappointments or in fantasies of glory days gone by. We're already seeing some of that. Oh, our life's going to be so different. We heard about it after 9/11. Everything's going to change. We're never going to get back to normal. You don't know anything about that. So invest your mental strength and your energy and looking at the optimistic side of our present and our future. We don't make the same mistakes over and over. We know that the definition of insanity, right? And it's when we take the same action again and again and again and again, and hoping for a different outcome that we fail. Bottom line, we don't succeed. We're in a time now where we have to shift the way we do things. If you're in a business where you do show and tell, for instance, you're going to have to do it another way. Just because you can't make human contact with people doesn't mean that you can't still make a living. A mentally strong person accepts full responsibility, and they keep on moving. And number 9 is we don't resent other people's success. You're looking out there, you're probably seeing some teams, some people, some entrepreneurs just kicking it right now. And a lot of people are being judgmental about it. Listen, shut up, do your own thing. Mentally strong people have the ability to keep moving on. They don't look out there and resent what somebody else is doing, resent their success or whatever, just because they're struggling right now. And, the mentally strong person doesn't feel like the world owes them anything, but, particularly in the current economy or a time when we're really struggling. We're not looking out there like somebody owes us something. Mentally strong people enter the world, prepare to work, and succeed in their own merits at every stage of the game. Nobody owes you anything, guys. You've got to keep moving on your own merit, your own strength, your own talent, and all the above. So this is a short list of the way a mentally strong entrepreneur looks at business, COVID-19, lockdown, and all. And there are two more short ones here. They get up, they get dressed as if they have someplace to go. How are you going to be motivated to work if you're slumming around like you're on a perpetual vacation? Get up, get dressed as if you have someplace to go. They make their bed even though they don't have to. They work hard to psych themselves into work mode instead of folding to the circumstances. So how are you measuring up on this list? Are you letting the circumstances control your behavior? Are you making excuses for not doing just because the world is on lockdown? Because I'm telling you something, you're only fooling yourself. There's still plenty of opportunity. If you work on your mindset and you remove all that muddle that has no place within you, you'll see that opportunities have not disappeared. The people are still interested in hearing about a side gig or a business that could potentially replace the income they've lost. There's still byproducts, especially those products that they deem to be essential products. And the biggest thing you lose to the COVID-19 is momentum. And when an entrepreneur loses that, even just for a few weeks or a few months that we might be on lockdown, it's like having to start business all over again. So are you going to put yourself or continue to put yourself in that position where you actually have to start this nonsense all over again from square one, or are you going to keep moving knowing that there's always opportunity out there? Strong-minded entrepreneurs don't quit because of outward circumstances. So are you all dressed up with no place to go, or are you still moving with a strong mind? And I'm praying that your mind is strong. So that's it for me, folks. I am going to see if anybody out there wants to come into the queue, *6. Thank you for hanging with me again. 1 second, and I will go into the queue. *6 to get yourself in. 1 second. Okay, we're in the Q&A session now. I'm just delighted to see that I think most of the people who had maybe given up on the call dial back into the call, and I hope I've encouraged you today. That's always the goal. Life really, truly is what we make it, guys, and we're dealing with things that none of us have ever dealt with before. But believe me, joy always comes in the morning, and with a strong-minded entrepreneur with that right mindset, get rid of that muddle in your head, keep moving, get boots on the ground, and you will succeed no matter what's going on in the world today. So anybody want to come on? *6. Okay, that looks like it's it, guys. God bless you all. I'm praying for each and every one of you. Again, I thank you for your patience, and, it's just a good example of how that strong-minded person has to keep going, right? You have no idea what I was going through on this end just to try to get through to this network, so I wouldn't disappoint you. So you guys, thanks for tuning in today. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.